Thank you for listening to the John Ed Heidi Show bonus hour. Excited to have Dr. Dan from Sioux Falls Hypnosis joining us in the studio. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. We talked last week about stress, and we kind of
social media action
tied that into social media.
Yeah.
And then you were telling you'd mentioned something on social media, and there was a little bit of a firestorm.
Right.
So let's dive into that if you're okay with it.
Well, because I think this is good wellness material. This is good community material. This is good mental health material.
What did you dare to say, Dr. Dan?
One of the things that troubles me about particularly social media, but the internet in general, the world of, everything that's out there right now, is there seems to be this pressure where it's men versus women. And it's increasingly becoming visible, at least to me, and I understand that I'm a slow learner.
Boys rule and girls drool. That's why that is.
That's
just kidding. just kidding. Want to make sure.
Send your email too. Anyway, so the idea is that, and the social media, particularly, but the internet is just rife with this.
Oh yeah.
Where men are talking about how hard it is to be men, and how women don't understand, and how they're how hard it is to be a man in the world, and then women are out there doing the very same thing. It's hard to be us, and this is why. And you know what? And both sides are true.
Yeah, it's hard to be anybody.
Both sides are. Yeah, it's hard to be a person in this world, and I understand that the culture has some issues. Trust me, I'm all down with that, and I also understand that there's plenty of violence and ugliness out there, and that's unacceptable. Period. Yeah. But beyond that, from a bigger picture, there's this idea that we can't. We're in opposition to each other, and we can't keep going at each other like this because, as you were just saying, it's hard to be a man in today's world, but it's hard to be a woman in today's world too. And we're both in the same boat. And rather than recognizing that and trying to meet in the middle and find some commonality and understand each other a little bit better and learn, what we're doing is we're setting ourselves up in opposition, and we're trying essentially to be, the way it looks on the internet is an attempt to be the biggest victim. Yeah. This is how hard it is for me, and you don't understand. And what happens is then I get to be right because I'm the most put upon or the most victimized. And I take nothing away from anybody's experiences.
Exactly.
Please hear that. I take nothing away from anybody's experience.
I hear what you're saying, and I hope others do too.
Right. Yeah. But that can't be. Nothing will happen from there. Nothing good will come from that.
How do you win? There's not a win there.
Well, you can race to the bottom, and what happens is we're essentially trying to steal power from one another. If I can be the biggest victim, if I can be the most aggrieved, if I can be the biggest put upon, if I can be the most misunderstood, then I get to be right. And if I can't be right, at least you're wrong. And that's a good plan B. Gotcha. And what happened is we're all out there trying to deal with our insecurities and our inferiorities and our anger and our hurts and our pain and our past experiences. And it's all playing out, not all of it, but we're playing it out in this theater of social media and trying to, we're all acting on what's happening to us. We're all projecting our stuff outward. And this is what got me in trouble on the internet when I mentioned the fact that if you're really self-righteous about something, particularly about the opposite sex, if you really got an issue of some kind, that's probably yours.
How dare you say that?
You're probably taking something that you're carrying and you're projecting it outward. You really are. And I don't. And again, I'm not saying anything about anybody's particular individual experience, but as a general rule, if you want to know where someone's full of crap, go to where they're self-righteous.
Well, and the thing is, I like the way you qualified that. You didn't say absolutely, positively, this is for sure you. You're saying it's probably that. That doesn't mean everybody. So if somebody's getting all upset over it, they could be the exception to the rule. Absolutely. There could be a different reason.
There's always an exception to the rule. And we talked a little bit about this last time when we were talking about nuance. There's always an exception to the rule. And that's perfectly fine. Yeah. It's just we need to recognize that. And so, as you were saying, there's no nuance.
No.
That's the problem with being on the internet or being on social media is all of a sudden we live in this world of absolutes and intolerance and specificity that we never live in real life.
And think about this. Before social media came along, we thought, boy, we would all get along better if we just knew what that other person was thinking.
Right.
And what we really found out is we get along much worse once we know what everybody else is thinking.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that we're all bad people, but I guess at the end of the day, maybe that is part of it. None of us are perfect. And I think a lot of the times people expect perfection. Isn't that expecting too much?
We have this struggle as a culture right now with being wrong. It's really, and it seems to be, maybe I'm generalizing, but it seems to be a genuine struggle out there in radio land for people, or podcast land, for people to just be wrong, to be wrong well. I mean, one of the things that we need to be able to do in order to learn from each other, in order to interact with each other, is we have to be able to be wrong comfortably and easily. And I have to not only be able to do that myself, but I have to allow you to be wrong comfortably and easily. Because that's the only way anything useful happens. Yeah. The minute we can't be wrong and the other person can't be wrong, then there's a good guy and a bad guy. Everything becomes black and white. There's no more nuance. There's no way we can learn from each other. There's no way we can understand each other. And all we do then is just set up opposite camps and snipe at one another.
Yeah, and that's not helpful for anybody.
No, and a great deal of what goes on social media is exactly that. Yeah. Is just, and again, all it is it's an attempt to steal power. You know, if I'm the most aggrieved or wronged or most misunderstood or whatever, then I get to be right and you're wrong. Yeah. And that's the thing that we're, as a group, as a culture, we're very insecure about who and what we are right now, as individuals and as a group. And so there's a real desperation in us for significance, and being right is just about the biggest gift you can get when you're struggling with what's going on inside you or as a group. Being right is the gift that keeps on giving. And so everybody's kind of out there jockeying for position on that.
I would say there's nothing wrong with being wrong if you learn from that and then you move forward.
But if you think about the media, we don't allow people to be wrong.
No.
If you think about kind of what we see and hear, it's like nobody should ever make a mistake. Nobody should ever say anything wrong. No one should ever misspeak. No one should ever engage in a behavior that isn't okay and then be like, oh, wow, I really screwed that up badly, and I need to take another look at that, and I need to apologize, and I need to make an effort not to do that again. We don't allow any of the natural evolution of how we learn and change and grow. We don't allow it. Yeah. Once you've offended somebody, once you've done wrong, once you've misspoke, once you've made a mistake, you're bad. And once we label you as bad, we can eternally keep you in that box. Yeah. Those are the kind of the rules we've made for ourselves. Yeah. And this plays out around us all the time. When was the last time you saw anybody say or do anything and then show up in the newspaper or in the news or on the internet or on a podcast or whatever, going, I really dropped the ball on that. I really did. I did it
more
wrong.
Often.
They should. Well, they absolutely should. And we need to hear them and be okay with that, because when someone does have the courage. Yeah. Now, again, your actions have to match your words. Yeah. If you're going to come out and say you did something wrong, you better be walking the walk too, or we're entitled to have thoughts about that.
Exactly.
And
people
will. But if you've made a mistake, we absolutely need to show up and say that, and the rest of us need to go, because if I can forgive you, you will forgive me. If I can allow you to change and learn, you will allow me to change and learn.
Yeah. Well, and it makes me think of Thomas Edison. He has a famous quote that, he didn't, when he was making the light bulb, there were 10,000 wrong versions before. Right. And he said, I just found 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb.
Right.
Imagine if he would have quit anywhere along the way. He was wrong. Nope, this doesn't work.
Imagine if they'd have gotten a hold of the story and, oh my God, this guy's wasted all these resources. Just 10,000
times.
He's taken a crack at this many times. When are they going to fire him? When are they going to let him go? This is crazy. Do you think he's insane? I really don't know. Something might be wrong with this guy. Yeah.
It makes you wonder if it was really 10,000 or if he was rounding up. But
right. But the point remains.
Yeah.
And we have no tolerance of that in one another, because, and this goes back to the fact that right now we're kind of in a place culturally where, we're insecure. Yeah. We don't know where our meaning comes from anymore. A lot of the things the structures that once kind of held us in place are changing. Yeah. And there's so much uncertainty that we are, I hate to say this, but as a psychologist, when I look around at, culturally and the group as a whole, is we are so desperately afraid and insecure and intolerant right now. And again, we want to lay that at the doorstep of everybody else, when in reality, it's ours.
It really is.
It's ours. Now, I don't excuse anybody's behavior but your fear is your own.
Yeah. And there's one thing about misspeaking or, saying something that maybe later you go, well, that probably wasn't right. There's other people who purposely go out of their way to, they're clearly right and clearly wrong, and they're on the side of the clearly wrong. I think those are different things. There are completely different. When there's clear hate groups where they hate a whole group of people for whatever reason, I don't know that there's any way to go, oops, I guess,
but
oopsies.
Now let's go look at it, but we can look at that and go, you know what? That's not useful at all.
Yeah.
But and then there's any number of ways we can handle that.
Yeah.
There are things that are unacceptable. There are. But we need to come together in order to all be on the same sheet of music. The way we do things now, we can't come together even on that.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we can't culturally unify and have a position on something, then they own you. You don't own them anymore. Exactly. I mean, that's why they thrive, groups like that.
Yeah, very true. If somebody listening would like to work with you, again, Dr. Dan is with Sioux Falls Hypnosis, and we met Dr. Dan because we've used the program. We used the program for weight loss. My daughter utilized the program because she was having some anxiety issues. And have you talked to her lately?
I have.
Because she said, next time I see Dr. Dan, I'm going to ask if I can give him a hug. Has she?
No, but I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, well, she's got a great story, and she's going to...
wow, I can't wait.
A huge success, like leaps and bounds better. And one of the things that I'm going to tell you is I'm down like about 30-ish pounds now, somewhere around there. And I've been very thirsty and not hungry, and I was trying to figure that out, and I heard one of the things...
I'm doing that.
Saying, yeah, well, I was saying it's you're not hungry, you're thirsty.
It's me. I'm doing that.
It's not hunger, it's thirst. And
yep.
and I didn't even realize what was going on until I.
Takes a lot of repetition before some of that registers.
And I was like, I had been drinking a ton of water.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and it's just like my body's craving that. It's what it's asking for. And it's a crazy, in my mind, I was thinking when Heidi said, I want to try this hypnosis, I'm like, whatever. We'll do whatever. We'll try it. Then I met you. I'm like, he's a neat dude. I could hang out with him. I could chat with this guy. And really gotten to enjoy not just the hypnosis, but this as well. Mm-hmm. This has been so much fun.
It's been a pleasure.
And one of the things that you and I did, we recorded a thing that we're going to be putting out as kind of a fun little bonus, the Start Your Day the Right Way.
Oh, yeah, we can download it. We're going to give it away. And Start Your Day the Right Way. For those of you who are on your way to work, or maybe you just got up in the morning and you're looking for 10 minutes to put you in the right mood, in the right frame, to go out and have a great day, Sioux Falls Hypnosis and Sunny Radio, we have the answer now.
And I think that's really cool, and I hope we can do more fun projects like that. But again, that's one of those things that I'm really excited about, many fun things. If anybody else listening is going, I'd like to work with this crazy fella as well, how do they get a hold of you?
Look me up at SiouxFallsHypnosis.com, or you can call me directly at 605-702-6691.
Very nice. You can find his website, SiouxFallsHypnosis.com. And I guess you are listening to the podcast version of this, but if maybe it was shared with you and you're trying to figure out where do I find this to find other episodes, SiouxFallsPodcast.com.